going to remove the fuel tank. We'll disconnect the fuel lines here from where they come down with the filler neck. And also on the straps here, I always try to spray them first to get some penetration. We're going to support the tank.
There's fine little pieces of algae in there that'll cause the pickup screens to get plugged up after about a half hour of driving.
Okay, I have the sending unit out of the tank, and one of the problems that it has here, the screen has fallen off. So that's, of course, is going to raise the point to where it'll suck the fuel out. So it'll start running out of fuel early. With it not reaching any longer down here, it's going to start sucking from here, so we're losing the last little bit of the fuel tank. That's one of the reasons why they do the tank mod. The other reason is the screens that's inside of here. And inside this area here, they become plugged up. So we'll eliminate those. And there's also a few different versions of doing this mod. There's one where we just eliminate this area and we put an extension on it. We just use a coupler on the tube, and we're going to put a different hose on here. Then we just extend the filter down. That's the one that seems like most people are doing nowadays. What we used to do before, we would just take and couple a hose on it, and again, there's the reason why we would do this. This is the fuel return. The fuel would come back into the tank, and also remember, the majority of the fuel on these 7.3s are returned to the fuel tank. They do that to heat the fuel, keep it from gelling, and just to circulate a bunch of fuel. So we have the fuel returning right here and the pickup right here. We get a lot of agitation with the fuel being pushed out here and sucked up here. So we want to move the pickup from the return further away. What we used to do, and I did it to mine over 10 years ago without a problem, and back then too, I just used copper. I guess guys are recommending stainless now. Copper was easily available. That's what I used years ago on my own. I did dozens of trucks without issues. But anyhow, we would take it, we would take on the pickup screen, we would route it back or forward. Didn't really matter too much which way we routed it. We would just take the pickup and move it away from the discharge. So that way we didn't have a bunch of circulation, agitation, or any issues. So we moved the pickup and the return in different locations of the tank, and that did help from aeration, not having air in the fuel. Guys claim it made the engines quieter and better fuel economy. I mostly just did it to prevent issues. Can't really swear if I noticed any difference, but I did do it, and we have done it on other trucks, mostly because of stuff like this, where they've the pickups broke on them, or also the screens just continue to get plugged, mostly from algae too. I don't see contamination that often. It's usually algae or something inside the fuel tank that causes it. So I'll go ahead and modify this one and go from there. Now there's another mod out there, they call it Harpooning the tank, and it's just to actually so you can fill up more of the tank and get increase your fuel limit, increase your fuel capacity. The way it works, you have your fuel neck hose here that goes down inside the tank, and it's going in there, I'm gonna guess 5-6 inches. Let's see if I can catch on the camera. And once that fuel level, the hose down inside here touches the fuel, or once you have it in there so far, the depth of the tank, once the fuel rises to the bottom of this hose, the tube, it's going to stop. Obviously it can't fill up past it, come around it. So you shorten the hose so the fuel will continue to fill up and rise inside the tank. That's why they call it harpooning the tank. So I'll show you what we do here.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about here inside the tank. That's the tube that goes inside where the fuel comes down, the white one. And as the fuel fills up, it'll reach only to the point of the white tube and can no longer fill up. You still have a lot of space left inside this fuel tank for larger fuel capacity. So we'll cut these off some and increase the amount of the level that the fuel can rise to. So that's what they mean by harpooning the tank.
I'll just use some regular PVC cutters here, reach inside there, trim off a little bit, and again increase the capacity of the fuel tank. Okay, again showing what I've done here, we've just cut it off a little bit. Now the fuel tank has a larger, well, it's still the same capacity obviously, it's just able to be filled up a lot more. Done this on dozens of tanks, never had an issue with anything leaking. As long as your tank's sealed good, you should not have a problem. It's been out there for years. I have not heard anything negative about it. I just figured I'd show it just because people do ask about it. Okay, these are the filters that we're going to be replacing or eliminating. They're covered quite a bit on, I've covered them, other guys have covered them. So they're pretty commonly known out there to give us issues. They get plugged up and then we can no longer get the fuel to the engine. It'll starve it, it'll ruin your injectors, cause stalling, give you different issues. So again, by what they call the Hutch mod, or eliminating this area of the pump, we're no longer going to be vulnerable to these getting restriction and giving us problems. There's other guys out there that'll cut their fuel lines and put a filter for the pre-pump. I never have. That used to not be discussed back when I was doing this commonly around 2003, 2004. My own personal truck, I never had the filter on it. All the guys that I've done never had a filter on it and they never had an issue. But if you don't feel safe with that and you're worried about filtering your fuel before it gets to the pump, then go ahead and cut your lines and install a pre-filter. Like I said, I myself personally, I've ran mine well over 100,000 miles without an issue. I don't have fuel contamination as a problem, but I do buy all my fuel from the pumps where they have filters before they come in. Also, the trucks I see do not have fuel contamination issues, but again, that's your preference on what you want to do. Just figure out, throw this out there. Now again, there's different versions out there. This is the simplest way. You just eliminate the whole pre-filter screen and the way it used to ground it and dump the fuel in there. You can just change your location so now it'll pick up down the tank further and it'll discharge up here, not cause the air and the agitation. So this is one version. Figured I'd show you this one. If you decide to go the other way, that's more common now, there's a couple mods you have to do. You have to take this and open it up inside the 3/8. I just put a drill bit in the vise, screw it down by hand, open this up, then you can get the lines here. I just got these parts over at AutoZone. Cost me about 20 bucks for everything. So this would be the other way to do it. Just cut the end off here and cut yourself a section of the 3/8 line about 4 inches long, and then we're going to insert it in here into the old pickup, or the new pickup actually, because this one had to be replaced. We'll stick it in down there, and then put it on to the, and then couple it with the couplers to the pickup that's the stock off the truck. Have the 4-inch section here. This one had a location to mount the pickup screen at about 10 and say 5/8 of an inch down is where the other one was located at. So we're going to make sure that we extend the pickup tube all the way down to the exact same, so we have the same option. You guys actually like to run them into the that pickup screen a little bit further, so I'm going to make it longer, but the final resting place will be about 10 and 5/8 inches down, so it's in the same stock location. And what I've done to check my connection is I've taken a vacuum gauge, spliced it in here to the line at the bottom, and then tapped off the top and making sure it's holding vacuum. That way I don't have to worry about my connection leaking. And this is holding pretty good, so we've got a good connection, good seal on this one. Okay, I made a mark on the old pickup tube, or the new pickup tube, to where we're going to install the pickup screen down on the till. So now I'll go ahead and slide the pickup screen on and have it at the right level so it sucks up all the way from the bottom of the fuel tank. Once installed, we have very little of the new tube showing due to the coupler taking up some room. But the new tube also extends all the way down here, almost to the bottom of the pickup screen. Okay, here we're bending the 5/16 line just to route it away from the fuel level sensor, the float. We're just going to move it out of the way, direct it around it so we don't have any air blowing back into it. Just make yourself a Z bend here. Okay, this is the finished product after I'm all done installing the new pickup and the return line. I had to go and get some brass, or actually some copper return lines, some 5/16, because the other one kinked on me, so I ended up using that. But we have plenty of clearance for the float. The return is out past the float, so it's not going to be blowing fuel onto it and causing any issues. And you can see the pickup's all done. One thing I want to point out, the ground ended up breaking from moving it, so make sure you check it before you go back together with it, and make sure nothing's got damaged or hurt from all the moving. So anyhow, there we go. There's the mods that I do on the tank, and hopefully this guy is going to notice some improvements. If not, at least he's not going to be lacking power after a half hour of driving from the pickup screens getting plugged up with the algae. Thank you.